If you or someone you know has diabetes, you may have built up an extra supply of test strips and lancets. That's where we come in. We'll buy the supplies that you don't need and resell them to those in need to prevent waste. Help us make diabetes management more affordable. Visit us at teststripswithaz.com.
All right, joining me right now, getting an opportunity to become a millionaire, ladies and gentlemen. Season 2 of the Professional Fighters League. And to paraphrase the great nature boy Ric Flair, to be a millionaire, you gotta beat a millionaire. Chris Curtis is here. He's going to take on Lewis Taylor in a regular season matchup in Long Island, headlining that event on May 9th. Chris, how are you, sir?
Man, I'm good, man. Just dragging through the days, 2 weeks out, so it's in that crunch time. We're just like, oh my God, can we just fight now?
I know, right?
But I'm alive, so I can't complain too much.
It was funny. I was talking to Montel Jackson before his fight at UFC 236, and he had an issue with Skype heading into our conversation. You are having your own problems with Skype. Let the listeners know what is happening between you and the folks behind Skype these days.
Oh, yeah. We're running late now for this because Skype just crashed my gaming laptop, which we don't know how, but yeah. Apparently just killed my laptop, so I definitely need my millions. I really want my laptop back.
I mean, in terms of your mixed martial arts career, what a road this has been for you, hasn't it? I mean, you have been on this massive tear, on the top of a lot of people's minds in terms of up-and-coming fighters in the sport. You were on the Contender series last year, had a really strong showing there, got another win for Fight Night in January, and now we're here getting ready to compete for the Professional Fighters League. So I know this is like a pretty broad question to really kick things off, but what have these last 10 months been like for you?
It's just been weird, man. I've been like the last 3 or 4 years, I've really been pushing hard. And then this last few months, he's been whirlwind. Like the Contender situation sucked. I broke my hand, which like really bummed me out. Man, that hurt a lot. Like, I shattered my hand in like 2 places. I was done with the sport. I was over it. I was like, screw this. I'm not going to get like injured for nothing anymore, especially when I do everything they want and they don't care. And then I took a fight in Fight Night, felt good. Then this came up. I'm like, you know what? I don't need a UFC fight kit. With $1 million, I can make my own fight kits. So whatever.
Now that you have this opportunity, now that you have this chance to win $1 million, you're with PFL. You still get to fight on the ESPN family of networks. Is there a weight lifted off your shoulders in a way now that you have a home? Like you have this great chance to do something special. Does it feel a little bit more freeing? Even though that's not with the UFC.
Man, it's funny because my entire career, I was definitely a guy who had the UFC blinders on. I'm like, I just wanted to be there. Now I'm like, screw these people. I don't care what people say. I just want my $1 million so I can go on with my life and do millionaire shit. So like, it was all about the UFC now. Now I couldn't care less, honestly. I really could.
You kind of see what's happening in like the world of professional wrestling right now. Like forever it was, WWF or bust. They had like WCW and they had ECW, but now like professional wrestling's come in a different direction. The independent scene's really growing. You could be a star in the world of professional wrestling without being in the WWE. And I know mixed martial arts is a fairly newer sport, but can you see, is it starting to trend that way that, you could still be a star in the sport without being in the UFC? There's going to be other avenues, and in 5-10 years from now, there could be even more avenues.
Right now, it's just, for all the, got dark here. For all the casuals and whatnot, the big names are going to be in the UFC. It's kind of cool, though, to, look around the internet and see my names listed as people are like, you can't say all the greatest guys in the UFC because my name gets thrown in that mix. So that's really cool for me to see. It's like, I'm recognized as like a guy who's good enough to be there, but isn't. I think a lot of, like with a lot of the casual viewers are going to see UFC or bust, but like, I don't care anymore, man. There's too many other places to go. There's too much money to be made out here. Like, I'm going to make $1 million this year. Like December 31st, I'm going to be a millionaire. Like how many first year fighters can say that? So it's, they can keep their fight kit. They can keep their fight kit. They can keep their Reebok check. I don't care.
So you get Lewis Taylor, had a great run at middleweight in the first season of PFL, won the whole damn thing, won the $1 million. And I don't remember if this is true or not, but if memory serves me correctly, he also hasn't fought at welterweight in about 5 years. What are your thoughts on Lewis as an opponent to kick things off for you at the PFL?
Never been afraid to fight. So they're like, oh, Ray Sefo hit me up. He's like, I got you a main event spot with Lewis Taylor, and I'm like, all right, cool. I like Taylor personally, man. He's I was impressed with his run through 85. Didn't think he's gonna win it. Nobody thought he was gonna win it. Really, he surprised a lot of people. That being said, there's a reason why 85 isn't around again this year. It was definitely the weakest of the classes, and 170 is a completely different monster than 185. Like it's the skill set changes. The dynamics of the fights change, completely different. And I'm not worried about the weight cut. He's got $1 million in resources to make sure he makes the weight, so I'm sure he'll make it. I'm not gonna bank on like, oh, he'll have a hard cut. It sucks. It's been a while. Andy's 40. I'm sure that's not gonna feel great, but he's got $1 million behind him to get there, so not gonna worry about that too much. Realistically, it doesn't matter. He can have a great cut. He can have a bad cut. It doesn't. What I do doesn't change. Like nothing changes for me based on how his cut is. I just got to go beat him up. And at the end of the day, he's good. He's really good. But it's my time now. Like he had his run through there. 170 is a completely different monster, and he's gonna find that out really fast.
You talked about how fans are commenting, putting you in the echelon of the UFC competition, but I also see the flip side of things. I saw you post a screenshot from Tapology from a fan making their prediction for the fight, and when this thing airs, you're actually going to see the shot come up, but it said, quote, Chris Curtis is probably one of the most overrated fighters among fans, and I think Taylor will expose that. Don't get me wrong, Curtis is a good fighter, but he's not bleeping God. I think he gets slept like Abus. So I have two questions. One,
what does that even mean?
I don't know. I guess three questions. One, what does that even mean? Two, what are your thoughts on that? And three, what are you doing reading the comments?
Oh, dude, I'm a prolific internet troll, so this is what I do. Like anyone that knows me or see my Facebook knows I'm a prolific troll. Like I'll get involved with this shit just to be involved. It's what I do. The pastime. Never take it personally. It's just I'm a habitual instigator and line stepper. Second, it's like an insult and a compliment at the same time. It's like a really weird backhanded compliment. It's like, yeah, he's good, but he's not God. I'm like, what does that mean? That's he's not God either. So like technically by these standards, we should have a draw. But I just don't. I read that and I was like, I don't know how to feel about this. So thank you, random internet person. And predictions, like, nah, I don't. I've never been, no one's knocked me out as a professional. I've never been knocked down as a professional. And like, I don't think it's about to happen now. Like, realistically, I think he's going to come wrestle. If he's smart, he's going to try to make this a wrestling match as much as possible. He's not, I'm not Abus. You're not going to throw a big left hook and like let me walk into it. If you're watching me fight, I don't walk into punches usually, and this is not going to happen. So he's going to make it a wrestling match. I'm not going to let him make it a wrestling match. And like, yeah, I don't know what this dude's been smoking, but that's the internet for you. So you kind of got to roll with it.
Is it fair to say you're not going to be in the same sentence as an Abus anytime soon?
So I didn't even know who Abus was until PFL. So like, honestly, he's like, oh, it's like Abus. I was like, who is Abus? I don't, we see he's like, oh, like he slept like Abus. Like, but I'm not God. Like, Abus isn't God. Abus was a guy. And like, I have no idea who Abus was until like that fight. So nah, I'm not going to get knocked out. Like, I'm not going to get slept like Abus. And like, that guy can kick rocks, like whatever.
Do you feel like you have something to prove with this matchup and with this entire, season professional fighters league format? I mean, do you have, it's been kind of a rocky road the last 10 months. There were times where you weren't sure if you wanted to continue doing this. Obviously, you seem to have found yourself back in the thick of things, chance to become a millionaire. Do you feel like you're carrying a chip on your shoulder heading into this whole thing, or just kind of business as usual at this point?
Man, I almost want to say there's a chip on my shoulder, but there's really, it's my entire career. I kind of had a chip on my shoulder about things, but it's weird, man. These last few months have changed a whole lot to where I've got nothing to prove. I just want to be rich. And like, this is my the thing I really like about PFL is that it's taking everyone else out of the equation. Like, my ability to be rich and to be famous and to be remembered is entirely based on what I do now. Like, I don't have to, I don't have to kiss anybody's ass. I don't have to go do a certain type of promo. Like, they've given the fighters back the ability to make or break, your own story. So I've got nothing to prove at all because, I get to prove it in there. I don't have to come in worried about it. I'm not thinking like, oh, he's the 85 from last year. If I lose, people are gonna think I'm overrated. I'm like, nah, man. I'm 25 fights in, like 12 years into this sport almost right now. I just want to fight. I want to fight. I want to be rich. Like, I just want my $1 million, man.
It's a great way of looking at it. So obviously you're not Lewis Taylor, you're Chris Curtis, but I guess, we talked about the weight cut thing and how it's not something you're worried about, nor should you be. But put yourself in Lewis's shoes for a second. I have not had $1 million. I have not seen $1 million. But if I won $1 million, I'm not sure what I would do with my life. I'm not sure what I would do the next year or the next month or the next day. Would I want more? Would I be happy with $1 million? I honestly don't know. Do you think Lewis winning the first season makes him just as motivated, a little more motivated, a little less motivated? What do you think?
It's a double-edged sword, man. Like, because I respect him enough to believe that, like, look at the guy. He's in phenomenal shape.
He's a monster.
He's freaky. He's a grinder for sure. You don't get built like that from being a part-timer. I think this is what he's done. He's dedicated his life to. So on the surface, I believe that he respects the sport and himself and me enough to, like, not half-ass it. But at the same time, history has shown that when fighters make it, when you're not hungry anymore, when your bills are paid, you're not worried about things. I've seen it a lot of times, we've all seen it. So when that fire dies down, people don't always show up. It's a coin flip, man. I don't know him well enough to guess what, to really comment on what he's going to do, but I'm going to choose to believe that he's going to bring his A game, because if he doesn't, it's going to be a really bad night. I think he knows that. I think I know that, So I think he has enough discipline, even if the fire's not there, to work his ass off for this. And 2 million is better than 1 million. So
that is much better. 2 million is better than 1 million. 3 million is better than 2 million. I like that. Lots of millions can be won over the next several years. And with you, in your road in the sport, things change, processes change, goals change. Now that you're with the PFL, and you've kind of addressed this a little bit, how your motivation has changed, you have the opportunity, it's in your hands to be rich, to be famous, to make yourself a bigger name in the sport. As of right now, do you feel like you're home with PFL? Like, do you see yourself fighting under this banner for a long time, or are you just kind of seeing where it all goes at this point?
I like it, man. It's so, like, here's the thing, man. MMA is what it is. Kind of like boxing, it's a very fickle sport. But, dude, I absolutely love the idea of a season. Like, nothing is more pain in the ass than, like, looking for a fight throughout the year and not knowing you're going to fight. Nothing's greater than people giving you a schedule like, hey, this is when you're fighting for the rest of the year. And you're like, all right, cool. I can plan accordingly. Like, no, we're the only sports for real, like combat sports, where, like, no one in baseball is like, man, I wonder if I'm going to play this week or go 6 weeks without playing. And you're like, oh, hey, you got a game in 3 weeks. It doesn't work that way. So it's nice to have a schedule. It lets you prepare. It lets you plan better. You can plan your camp better. You can plan your financials better. It's just, I like it. So, I'm falling in love with the idea of it. So, I'm really hoping we take off this season, because I want it to be around, because I want to keep doing it. So I get to headline the first card. So hopefully I get to bring in some fans.
I think it was a really refreshing thing for the sport last year. A lot of people doubted them heading into it. A lot of people thought that the idea and the tournament structure and, the league play and all that stuff, no one thought it would work. Everyone thought there's no way this gets out of the first season. And then it turned out to be really entertaining cards. We saw some stars rise. I think it's a very healthy thing for the sport. Obviously, more places to work and compete and fight are great for you guys. The chance to win all that money is great for you guys. But I really think the PFL did something different. It was a really refreshing sort of change of pace from what we've seen in mixed martial arts. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I liked it a lot, man. Just because, I think when they first started, everybody was expecting the what was it? Was it IFL? Was it that was a
Yes.
team one?
Yep.
Everybody was expecting like the IFL / Bellator tournament fiasco, to when they weren't like it just wasn't. There wasn't a concise picture of what was happening, but PFL had a regular schedule, a season, playoff. It was like any other sport. And you got to root for your people. It wasn't, you're not like rooting for Ponzabino like UFC. Like, yeah, Ponzabino's great, but then he could never get a title shot, even though possibly like he's earned it. You don't have that. You know which guys are where. You know who's going to get their shot. So it's definitely moving along the lines of like a legit sports setup. I think it's freaking awesome. Like, I wish more people would adopt it because it makes it greater for the fighters, makes it greater for the fans. You're not guessing who's going to be around. I love it. I absolutely love it.
And it's going to be on ESPN this season, which is fantastic, and for the foreseeable future. So what is the message for everyone here, Chris? The welterweights of the tournament, the fans, the doubters, the mixed martial arts community that you love to troll and see what's happening with. What do you want to say to everyone as this fight and this season inches closer and closer?
Oh man, I'm just gonna be I'm a millionaire by the end of the year, and like, thanks for showing up, thanks for playing, but like, I'm making my million, man. Like, I got nothing else to say. It's funny. I'm sure I'll be a little bit more vocal about it as this goes on, but I've reached that point in my camp and everything else. I'm like, you start thinking, when you're younger, you always wonder, can I do this? Can I do this? But now I'm at a point in my life and career, I'm like, why not me? Like, I deserve this. I've been yelling for years how I've improved and where my level, and I just haven't got a chance to show it. Now I get a chance to show you how great I am. So,
have you thought about what you're going to do with, like, if you win the whole ththing? Have you thought about what you're going to do with the money? I mean, a lot of people from the PFL last season, I would ask that question. They'd be like, nah, man, I'm just taking it one fight at a time, being all Bill Belichick on me. Have you allowed yourself to think that deep into it yet?
I've already spent all of this money, like mentally. So like it's already like gone through various avenues. But no, man, it's funny because as much as a goof as I am, I'm really like a homebody and a simple dude. I'd probably buy a house, like a small house, like, I have my own. Everybody's like at 30 should own property, so we'll do that. I like to pay my mom's house off. The rest I throw, into savings for my kids and whatnot, and just have some money in the bank to keep rolling. If I can end up with like $250,000 in the bank after it's all said and done, paying for stuff, I really want to buy a tiger, but like everybody's like, you can't really do that anymore. So I think Mike Tyson ruined that for most people. But we're gonna look into that because like if I can swing a tiger, I'm buying a freaking tiger. But outside of that, man, I just want to pay my mom's house off, get my place, make sure my kids are set up for the future, and then bank the rest of the money, and then wait around till next year to go make another million.
There you go. And then you have to plan out what you're gonna do with that million. You'll definitely be able to buy a tiger if you win the second million. So,
if I win $2 million, I'm buying 2 tigers.
Last question for me. How about Roxanne Modafferi? Man, did she prove a lot of people wrong? Giant underdog. She did the damn thing in Russia. How about it?
People sleep on Roxy because like we had this talk at the gym today with Coach Sean Wood. People say Roxy, if you look at Roxy, you wouldn't picture Roxy as like what a fighter is. But my God, she is one of the most dedicated, disciplined, just grind. I mean, like, I have a hard training schedule, and Roxy's schedule is like damn near mirrors mine. She's just like, she's a machine. I don't think people realize what a machine she is. It is insane. And like, she walked out there. It's funny because watching that fight, everything she did in that fight is stuff I watched her and John work on this camp. Everything she did, I watched her do like over and over and over. And it was just, it was 100% what she trained to do. And she just shit on so many people's brackets. And I love it. And once again, Roxy being Roxy, and she's the nicest person ever. But it was just, she's way more hardcore than people give her credit for. And like, I think she opened a lot of eyes, which is awesome.
She's great, man. I love the post fight interview at the end when she pretended to call out Chris Cyborg and said just kidding, and then the Russian translator kind of like ruined the whole thing for those fans. Kind of took the moment away for her, but what a performance from her. She shut a lot of people up, and Eric Kowal from IMA News, I think, said it best. Said, I think Roxanne Modafferi just wrote the book on how to beat a Shevchenko in Russia. She did a really good job.
Did absolutely page for page, and it's got a forwarding in it by JoJo Carter would do the forwarding for it, because that was like they worked her hard, and it was complete blueprint on how to beat a Shevchenko.
It was an amazing performance, and we look forward to seeing Chris Curtis put on a plethora of amazing performances as he starts off Season 2 of the Professional Fighters League, takes on Lewis Taylor May 9th in Long Island, New York. Season 2 of the PFL, more millionaires, more champions will be crowned as one of the bright spots, one of the refreshing things in the sport last year returns very soon on the ESPN platform. Chris, before you get out of here, let the folks know where to find and follow you on the web, social media, shout-out sponsors, etc. Please take the floor.
Yeah, guys, definitely follow me on Facebook, Chris Curtis, or you can use my fan page, which I'm trying to use more, Chris the Action Man Curtis. Find me on Twitter at ActionMan513, and you can find me on Instagram, also at ActionMan513. Keeping it simple for you guys. A big shout out to my family, everybody else. I'm out in Vegas. I moved to Vegas, which is hard being away from my kids and everything, but my family's really supported me on this, so thank you guys. I appreciate it. John Wood, everybody at Syndicate MMA. It's my primary gym out here. It's been awesome. Welcome with open arms. It's been a great time. I love it. Iridium Sports, my management company, they picked me up and got me into this, and they've been 100% behind me. All the guys at Extreme Couture have been training there as well. Like a lot of work, helping me out. And tune in the 9th, guys. This is going to be an awesome main event. Lots of violence, lots of face punching. Probably get slammed a few times. It's going to be a good time. Check it out.
Thank you for the time, Chris. Really appreciate it. All the best on May 9th and throughout the season, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Have a good one. We'll talk to you later.